which either was the bare and naked truth, or it was giving him a license to behave as he liked thereafter with a witness. I don't know.
I mean, all through these early years, he was having these fairly flamboyant affairs with very sexy women.
Claire Bloom as Martine. You fear that I leave you for another woman.
Claire Bloom, in particular, had a long affair with Burton. She described him as her first and greatest love. But despite his many affairs, Burton remained committed to Sybil.
There's no question she must have known. We never talked about it, she and I. Although we talked about this, that, and the other, but we never talked about Richard's little indiscretions, as he used to call it. But I think she could live with it, providing he came home.
For his part, Burton had always taken care to keep his affairs private. Then, in 1961, he got the call to go to Rome.
Elizabeth Taylor as Cleopatra, Siren of the Nile. Richard Burton as Mark Antony, but a pawn in the arms of this woman.
Co-starring with Elizabeth Taylor on what became the most expensive movie ever, would change Burton's life beyond recognition. But their famous encounter while making Cleopatra was not, in fact, their first. That had happened some years before, as Burton recalled in a short story called Meeting Mrs. Jenkins.
It was my first time in California and my first visit to a swank house. The people were all friendly and they called me Dick immediately. I asked if they would call me Richard. Dick, I said, made me feel like a symbol of some kind. They laughed, some of them. Then a girl sitting on the other side of the pool lowered her book, took off her sunglasses and looked at me. She was so extraordinarily beautiful that I nearly laughed out loud. I didn't, of course. The girl was not, and quite clearly not going to be, laughing back. I went swimming once or twice. So did she, but lamentably always after I'd come out. She was lavish. She was a dark, unyielding largesse. She was, in short, too bloody much, and not only that, she was totally ignoring me.
Cleopatra would be a very different story. Almost from the moment they appeared together on set, on January 22nd, 1962, the rumors about Burton and Taylor began.
It doesn't seem fair. What I feel, I should have felt long ago, when I was very young. I could say to myself that this was how love was, and how it would be. To have waited so long, to know so suddenly. It's like...
Well, it all leaked out pretty quickly. As soon as she and Richard Burton saw each other, she forgot she was married to Eddie Fisher, and he forgot he was married to Sybil Burton. Or maybe they didn't forget, they just didn't care.
It was another 3 weeks before the affair became public knowledge. Ironically, just as Burton was trying to break it off. Elizabeth Taylor was rushed to hospital, apparently with food poisoning. Burton issued a public denial, and Sybil, who had been renting a villa near Rome, fled to New York.
I do think Elizabeth made a suicide attempt in all this. I think that he, several times tried to go back to Sybil, and Elizabeth was having her problems with Eddie Fisher, who naturally was sort of standing around cuckolded and looking like a jerk. And as he came back to America and announced that everything was okay between them, they got her on the phone, and she more or less said, no, everything is not okay. I'm in love with Richard Burton. Get lost, It
was like walking through a bad dream, and I just don't belong in it, so I want to get out.
We have no
now.
Joe Mankiewicz, the director and writer of Cleopatra, realized that he had a great love affair going on, even though it might be an adulterous love affair. Nevertheless, it was one that might well assist his imagination when he sat down every night to write the next scene, and certainly could assist the film, even though the Pope disapproved of it, or especially because the Pope disapproved of it. You remember the Pope described Elizabeth as a sexual vagrant, and she said, can I sue the Pope?
It was an international scandal that had literally everything. It had sex, money, adultery, greed.
Well, we heard, first of all, from the press. And no question about it, we were all very upset because we were very much in love with Sybil. And, okay, hanky-pankies was one thing, but to leave your wife and 2 children was another.
Burton did make one more attempt to break from Taylor. This diary entry, his only recorded comment on the affair, describes what happened next.
We drank to the point of stupefaction. For some reason, Elizabeth said that she was prepared to kill herself for me. Who knows what other kind of rubbish was said. Out of it all came Elizabeth standing over me with a bottle or a box of sleeping pills, saying that she could do it. Whereupon she took a handful and swallowed them with gusto. Vague memories of trying to get her awake, or realizing that she wasn't joking. Loading Elizabeth into a car and a hair-raising drive to a hospital, and hiding at home because officially Elizabeth had a tummy complaint or some other excuse.
The end of Burton's marriage to Sybil was painful and protracted. It was not until the following year that she and Richard finally separated.
I do know, of course, that when the break came, it was absolutely devastating for Sybil and made her suicidal, and it was very, very distressing to watch. I always felt that his splitting from Sybil left within him the wound of guilt, which made him unhappy and may have been one of the reasons he drank.
There will be no press conference and no questions answered. They will request that no questions be asked.
Sybil took the children and moved to New York, leaving Richard free to be with Elizabeth. From now on, his fortunes would be tied to hers, for better or worse. There were some immediate and surprising benefits.
Liz actually taught him for the first time to be a good actor. If you watch the whole endless 4 hours of Cleopatra, you can actually see Burton getting good on screen for the first time.
You will kneel
I will what?
on your knees.
You dare ask the proconsul of Rome? He starts pretty theatrical. He starts the movie very over the top, and then gradually you look at him and you think, yeah, she is teaching him about close-ups. She is teaching him not to do the old Vic performance.
Remember, they want you to forget, please.
Forget? Oh. I can never be more far away from you than this.
She rather sweetly always said that Richard was my tutor. He taught me about Shakespeare. Well, that's probably true, but she taught him about acting for the screen. And it's only with her that he becomes a screen star.
They were married in private in March 1964, just as Richard was about to go to New York to play Hamlet on Broadway. By now, the Dick and Liz show had been bringing out the crowds for more than 2 years, and the public interest was as strong as ever.
We're standing in front of the L'Enfant Theater. This is where Richard Burton appeared with me and a number of other actors in Hamlet. On a matinee day, particularly if word got out that Elizabeth was backstage with Richard, this street would become utterly impassable. And we go through this crowd where people they'd snatch at your clothing with some sort of souvenir, anything, a button, a handkerchief or something. And it was really quite terrifying. This hysterical adulation, these crowds of people, was something that Elizabeth was used to, but Richard wasn't. Elizabeth was extremely gracious. She would sit in the limo at the back, and people would claw at the windows and say, "Hi, Liz," and and she would